John Leslie Brown speaks internationally to groups of all ages. He's inspiring his audiences to reach higher, to expect more of themselves in the serious pursuit of goals that define a lifetime. His core original mission is, we must be more dedicated to our destinies than we are to our distractions. Recently named one of the top 40 speakers under the age of 40 in America, John Leslie Brown knows how to deliver every time. He's been speaking professionally since the age of 10 and has not slowed down for more than 2 decades. His personal goal is to impact and to inspire a new generation of high achievers while remaining focused forward on building the family business, which trains emerging leaders to use their unique voices as a force for greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. John Leslie Brown.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Is the microphone happening with this?
Can we get a mic check, please?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is John Leslie Brown, but many people know me simply as Les Brown's baby boy. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. Please give the people who work so hard to make this event happen and that phenomenal great speech that we just heard from Mr. Dean Lambert. Please give them a warm round of applause. Where's my microphone? Thank you very much.
Sorry about that.
Check, check. Microphone check. Okay, I'm about to go without it in a second. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I wrote something when I was 14 years old, and fortunately, I've had the opportunity to share it all across the world. But I want to bring the energy up in this room, okay? So I need your help as they get my microphone ready. And don't worry, when you give it to me, I might break it again. I want you with power and conviction to say, it's your time.
It's your time.
There's a rhythm to this, people. Come on, join in. Everybody say, it's your time.
It's your time.
It's your time. You know who I'm talking about. You. It's time to leave the stage behind and be real. And there's nothing real about what you're doing if you're lying to yourself. Don't you want to be happy? Don't you want more out of life? Well, then tell yourself that satisfaction isn't enough. We all want fulfillment. It's not a question of whether or not it's possible. Conquering is part of your description. It is in your nature. The will to overcome and produce was designed to be a part of your genetic makeup. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What is it that you're doing? What made you stop pursuing? Sure, it's hard and it takes time. Sure, you might lose comfort and sleep. Sure, it might be frightening. But so what? If that's all you've got to be truly filled full. No more self-doubt or self-destruction. Just self-discipline and self-development. If you consider yourself a child of God, then start showing some of your father's traits.
Amen.
Just do it. And don't stop working until your life has meaning. Turn to the person on the right and to the left of you and say, it's my time now.
It's my time.
That's why showed up here today at this university. It's your time. Many people realize an it's my time moment when they're in workshops and seminars. But I had my first it's my time moment when I was 10 years old. On my 10-year-old birthday, the pillar of our family, the backbone, my grandmother, Mrs. Mamie Brown. Do you have anybody in your family that just keeps the glue, that keeps it together, that keeps everybody strong? Raise your hand if you got a Mamie Brown in your family. That was my grandma, Mamie Brown. I could see her in my head as I talk to you today. She was so funny. She was so powerful. And on my 10-year-old birthday, she passed away from breast cancer. I remember it like it was yesterday. My dad was in the room with her, holding her hand as she took her last breath. And then he came out, and he looked at us and said, Mama's gone. She crossed over. But the only reason why I'm here today is because Mamie Brown still lives in me. A couple days later, during the funeral, they asked if anyone wanted to get up and share what was on their heart about Mamie Brown. And there, when I was 10 years old, for the first time, I gave a speech. Afterwards, my dad looked at me with hopeful eyes. And they probably had some dollar signs in them too. And he said, son, there's greatness within you. There's a calling on your life. Your voice will carry the torch to this next generation. And when he said, son, there's greatness within you, there's a calling on your life, I had no idea of the many things that I would get a chance to do. I did not know that I would go to juvenile facilities and help motivate people to not come back. I had no idea that I would travel nationally and internationally. I had no idea that I would be here with you at the Harvard University. And I believe there are three curriculums of success. You see, first you have the dream stage. Raise your hand if you know about the dream stage. If you've ever had a dream, when you have a dream, it'll keep you up in the middle of the night with a smile on your face. Oh no, when you got a dream in your life, you walk differently. You speed up when you walk because you know you've got somewhere to go. When you've got a dream, you know how to make know your vitamin because it was nothing that can stop you back. Raise your hand if you know about the dream phase. Everybody say dream. Loud, one more time, everybody say dream. Yes, I know about the dream phase. Matter of fact, my dad wrote a book called Live Your Dreams. And I remember saying, you know, I hang around him all the time, but what's in this book? And I came across a quote in the 3rd chapter, and it shook me to my core. It said, everybody's born unique, but most of us die copies. I'll say that again if you didn't catch it on this side of the room. Everybody's born what? Unique, but most of us die copies. And I believe that dream phase, write this down, dreams are the data of your identity. Your dreams are here to tell you who you are. When you look in the mirror and you see that flesh and bones, that's not who you are. But behind that, there's a dream in me. I know about having a dream. And when you get exposed to that and when you have that, it changes the way you live. But after you move to the dream phase, and many people get stuck dreaming, that's not enough. You move from dream to destiny. Everybody say destiny. That's when you learn what it takes to bring your dream to life. That's when you turn an executive summary into a global enterprise. That's when you move past just dreaming about it and find out the necessary habits and attitudes in order to create it, in order to create something that really matters, that's profitable in this free market enterprise system that we live in today. And I believe, raise your hand if you know you have a destiny. Raise your hand. Okay, great. Write this down. If you don't claim your destiny won't claim you. If you don't claim your destiny won't claim you. But it's not enough to talk about the dream phase. The dream is who, the destiny is what. That's all about what you have to do. And then after that, there's another level that only a few people ever reach. And that's the dynasty phase. Everybody say dynasty. Come on, say that with some more energy, like you're a part of a dynasty that this school is creating. Everybody say dynasty. Yes, your dream is about who, your destiny is about what, but your dynasty is about why. When I was 10 years old and I spoke at my grandmother's funeral, whether I realized it or not, I became part of her dynasty. And that's the only reason why I have the privilege and the honor of standing before you today. And Dean Lambert, you and I had some similar ideas. I started thinking, what would the world look like if everyone grew up with access to a Harvard education? Just think about that. How many more Nobel Peace Prize winners would we have? How many more world-class leaders would there be right now if everyone grew up with a Harvard education? Could you imagine that? Well, let's talk about what that really means. I remember this story that I learned from my dad, that I heard from my dad. It wasn't something that he said on stage. It was something that he said behind the scenes. And this probably was one of the biggest lessons. He said, John Leslie, I just came back from working with the Gates family. And after I spoke, they said, hey, Mr. Brown, we heard you talking about your 5 and 10-year goals, but we want to show you something. They took him into a back private room, and they said, look at this. We want to show you where the Gates family will be in the area of technology 100 years from now. Think about that. We want to show you where the family will be 100 years from now. And so my dad told me that, and he said, wow. When he said, wow, guess what I was thinking? How? I then immediately started thinking, where will the Brown family be in the personal growth industry 100 years from now? And I started working for that plan. And so you see that worksheet that you have right there? Pull that out. To me, the H in Harvard stands for 100-year plan. If you want to be successful, I'm telling you, you need a 100-year plan. Major corporations, some of them live only for a season, but the ones that live for over 100 years, the ones that are here for generation after generation, guess what they have? A 100-year plan. It's okay, say it with me. A 100-year plan. And why is that? They said the purpose of a 100-year plan is not to create a fixed result for the next 100 years. The purpose of a 100-year plan is to get management and ownership outside of the thinking of quarterly results and focus on the overall well-being of the company. You see, when you set goals and when you're thinking about your success, there will be things that happen to you and you ask yourself, why me? Why does this have to happen to me? Don't you know I'm working on being successful? And you might lose your footing, but your 100-year plan is not about what you're going to get while you're alive. Your 100-year plan is all about how will the world be different because you were born. I was talking, the person in the back, he told me his definition of success was learning how many more people he can help be successful. And he really has a dynasty mindset. People that get stuck in their dreams and get stuck in their destiny so many times, they work so hard, they end up working themselves into an early grave. and they can't enjoy their success. And so I want you to think long term. There's a term called black sky thinking that people use in the space industry. They said that blue sky thinking, they think outside the box. But blue sky thinking is the cousin of straight line thinking, okay? Black sky thinking takes you beyond current capacities so that you can be innovative and remain on the cutting edge. Everybody say 100-year plan. So I started to think about it. Where should this plan be? Where do you put the plan? Is it something that you can write down on paper? Well, everyone in this room knows they stopped using paper in the 90s. So where do you put it? Can't be a website. We're not paying for hosting or anything. Can't even be the cell phone, because what if your phone drops and your screen breaks? That's not going to cut it. Guess where? You should put your 100-year plan in the only unhackable place on this planet. It's not the cloud, it's your mind. Put your 100-year plan here. And I believe it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to take a lot of pages. But people, have you ever heard of an elevator pitch? Yes, an elevator pitch, even though if you make a business plan, it could be very many pages. You can have a lot of documents, but nothing is more powerful in business than your elevator pitch. No one's going to read all of that. I believe don't just have an elevator pitch. Make a dynasty pitch. Turn your 100-year plan into a positive statement that's between 30 seconds and a minute. And don't be afraid to unleash your dynasty on people. Everybody say H. 100-year plan. A. Allow yourself to fall. Allow yourself to fall. Many people remember the story. When I was 9 years old, I was playing this gentleman that I called my father in a game called Connect Four. I was a little kid. This is back in the time when adults actually beat little kids in games, okay? And we were playing Connect Four, and he must have beat me at least 20 times. It was getting late. It was past my bedtime. And he said, listen, John Leslie, you're not competitive. And I just got a letter, a telegram from the President of the United States. They say, I'm the best Connect Four player in this country. Please just go to sleep. You can't handle this. I said, hold on, Dad. Hold on. Wait. Just give me another game. He said, no, it's your bedtime. It's time to go to sleep. I said, no, Dad. Just give me one more chance. Give me another game. He said, why? Without thinking about it, my little 9-year-old self said, give me another game because it's not over until I win. Everybody say, it's not over until I win. Just because you have a success plan doesn't mean that you're not going to bump your head. Just because you have a success plan doesn't mean that you might get knocked down or you might lose in something time and time again. But if you have an it's not over until I win mindset and you allow yourself to fall, write this down. Failure is not failure. Failure is not failure. And I was just with the legendary motivational speaker, Dennis Whaley, just the day before yesterday. And I told him I was going to steal it, but I just stole it for you. He said, humility is not humiliation. Ooh, come on. Turn to the person on the right and left of you and say, humility is not humiliation. There are going to be some challenging times that face you when you might not have it all worked out, but allow yourself to fall. Allow yourself to learn through that process. I remember I decided that I wanted to get involved politically. And I knew that I was young, but I said, hey, I'm going to run for higher office. I started studying everything that I could. I filled out all of the paperwork. I went to the meetings, and I was so excited to find some people that really believed in me. I never worked harder in my life. I paid a lot of money to get on the ballot, and guess what? I did not know that you couldn't just pay the money. You had to get a certain amount of signatures. I turned in my signatures. Some of them were disqualified because they were in a different county. I came 3 signatures short of making it on the ballot. 3 signatures. And I remember leaving from the county clerk's office in tears, wondering how could I even show my face again? How did I let the people down that believed in me? But guess what? I fell, but I got back up. One of my dad's quotes that he's known for is, always strive to land on your back in life, because even if you get knocked down, if you look up, you can get up. So allow yourself to fall. Everybody say R. R stands for resource management. Resource management. Guess what the most precious resources you have are? And I'll tell you right now, it's not your money. The first thing, it's your mind. The second thing, it's your time. And the third, your relationships. Those are the most powerful resources that you have. But you have to manage them properly. And when we talk about your mind and reprogramming yourself and staying committed, I want you to remember this. Write this down. This is key. When things go wrong, don't go with them. And now let's just talk about the resource of your time. You know, my dad, people always say, hey, what is it like being Les Brown's son? Well, when I was in high school, my dad put me on punishment before he saw my report card. You laughing way too hard over there. And I said, hold on, Dad, I've been checking the mail. I know you haven't seen my grades. Why are you putting me on punishment? He said, I don't need to see your grades. I don't need to talk with your teachers. I can tell you're not doing well based on how you're using your downtime. That's what I said. What is this thing called downtime? I had to figure it out because it was giving me away, you know? And he put me on a really particular type of punishment. He didn't just say, oh, you're grounded. No. He put me on room arrest, okay? Which meant 2 meal breaks and 2 bathroom breaks. This is not funny, people. He took away the keyboard from my computer so I could only see my screensaver. Took away my television privileges. Took away my telephone privileges. Then on top of that, Dean Lambert, he came back and took the door off the hinges of my room. Don't put your thumbs up. He said, every time I walk by, you better be studying. And when I was during that time, I remember I was so committed to not doing well, I would just read motivational books instead of school books because that's what was in the house. And I came across a quote by the late, great Jim Rohn. And he said, your life, my life, the lives of each and every one of us will serve as either a warning or an example. Your life, my life, the lives of each and every one of us will serve as either a warning or an example. It went on to say a warning of lack of discipline, lack of drive and ambition, or an example of objectives clearly perceived and intensely pursued. There I was in my room on room arrest, y'all. And I realized my life was a warning. And so I made changes. I changed my mindset. I started to become a better resource manager. And I fell, but I allowed myself to fall. I knew there was time to do something else. And I decided to get involved with the family business. And here's something that's so funny. By the time I was 14, I was earning over $2,500 an hour. Everybody say, yeah. You know any teenagers that's making raise your hand if you would like to make $2,500 an hour as a teenager. And why is that? Guess what? This is what my dad taught me. For the entrepreneurs in here, you don't get paid by the hour. You get paid based on the value that you bring to the hour. You don't get paid by the hour. You get paid based on the value that you bring to the hour. And remember, you are a resource manager. Many people achieve success, but only for a moment, but not you. You are a resource manager. You're going to manage the resources of your mind, your time, and your relationships. And here's something key about your relationships, okay? Repeat after me and bring some energy to it. Everybody say, don't let your group destroy your greatness. And how do you do that? I believe we need to ask ourselves two questions when evaluating our relationships. Who can you count on, and who should you count out? Who can you count on, and who should you count out? Everybody say, H, 100-year plan. A, allow yourself to fall. R, resource management. V, virtualize yourself. Write that down. Yes, yes. Seth Godin, in his book entitled Tribes, he said, internet eliminates geography. Right now, more than ever, you can turn your couch into a cash register. You can be everywhere at the same time. Guess what? My dad, he grew up using 8-tracks. Don't give him your iPod. He won't be able to find anything, but he reaches over 2 million people a week on Facebook. Way more than he did working for the last 40 years. Why? He's virtualized himself. What are you going to do to utilize the technology that this generation has to virtualize yourself, to leave an impact, to make sure that you reach the people? And this is important. It doesn't matter how many hits you have. It matters how many hearts you hit. Don't worry about who's going to watch your videos. I made that same mistake. I didn't want the quality to be off. Guess what? If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't be here today. Everybody say virtualize. Yes. Even if I know something new comes out every week. It's a new app. It's something new. Guess what? That's part of the responsibility for those who realize that they don't just have a dream and a destiny, but they have a dynasty. I would love to see Mamie Brown's Instagram page if she had one. That would be incredible. But don't forget to virtualize yourself. Gary Hamel talks about something that I love. He has a video, and you might want to check this out. He's talked about transforming the technology of human accomplishment. Transforming the technology of this generation, we have transformed the technology of human accomplishment. And he said, if you think about the best innovations in the past 100 years, many people would say the combustion engine. Sure. Many people would say mobile devices or even the internet. But he said the biggest innovation has been in the area of management. Management, because the system that allowed a Ford company to take place did not exist 2 centuries ago. And so as part of being a resource manager, you've got to think about how you're going to virtualize yourself. And then he said something else too. He talked about a new company that's actually innovative. And he said that they've got this concept called reverse accountability. Have you heard of that? Reverse accountability. Write that down. In their company, and they're a fast-growing company out of India, it's not just the supervisors rating the employees. The employees get to rate their supervisors and their supervisor's supervisor online. And that type of reverse accountability is helping to make that company one of the most prosperous in the world. Well, guess what? When you think about your 100-year plan, focus on year 100 and then use reverse accountability to make sure that every day you are taking steps to get to that place, even if you allow yourself to fail, even if sometimes you got to say no to different options, because as a resource manager, you can't say yes to everything. And remember to virtualize yourself so that you could take advantage of opportunities that are on other shores. Everybody say A. It stands for acknowledge your journey. Acknowledge your journey. I think back. Anybody in here ever drove a bucket? You know, a hoopty, a bad car. Okay, thank you very much. Think back to your journey. Guess what? Despite how successful that you are, no matter how hard you work, stop and smell the roses. I've never seen a U-Haul truck following a hearse. You've got to enjoy your journey on the way. You've got to take time to spend time with the people that you love and just say, hey, we've come a long way. Raise your hand if you've come a long way. Raise your hand if you've ever been through anything where people couldn't believe how bright you smile right now. Yes, guess what? If you don't acknowledge your journey, you'll always be waiting for someone else's acknowledgement. You've got to acknowledge your journey, and then the world will park in front of you to see what you have to offer. You've got to acknowledge your journey. Everybody say R. Rise to the occasion. Whew. After my grandmother's funeral, my dad saw me and he said, oh, I'm taking this boy on the road. Next week I was speaking and opening up for him. And even though that was a long time ago, I'm 31 now. I was 10 then. But I remember I had my glasses on. I was walking to the stage, and I realized that this wasn't about me. There was an occasion that would allow us to create generational wealth, an occasion that would allow us to motivate people on multiple continents. And I came up there to that microphone, and guess what? I rose to it. What occasions will be created in your life that you're going to have to go inside yourself and say, okay, all right, I've got this one. It's my time. I'm not nervous or scared. I'm prepared for this. I don't just have a destiny or a dream. I've got a dynasty, and this is part of my dynasty movement. So here I am. There are people in other countries that don't have the same type of opportunities that we have. And who are we to waste them? Life is an occasion. Let's rise to it. Does that make sense? And after you have your 100-year plan, everybody say 100-year plan. 100-year plan. And you allow yourself to fail. You realize that you're a resource manager. And so you value your mind, your time, and your relationships. Also, you've decided to virtualize yourself. You're utilizing all the technology that's at your disposal to make a global impact. And of course, you've acknowledged your journey. You're not waiting on somebody else to validate your path. And when you rise to the occasion, you'll be put in places that you can't imagine. But finally, everybody say D. D. Say it loud. Everybody say D. D. This is the most important principle. Dwell in gratitude. Dwell in gratitude. I'm so grateful that Mamie Brown's baby boy is my father. I'm so grateful that my grandma motivated him with those belts. And now he goes out and motivates the world with his wisdom. I'm so grateful because now I don't just have the pressure of being a great son. 2 years ago, on September 9th, I became a father. And I remember when my son, Honor Phoenix Brown, was born. I was there at the hospital. He came out, they laid him on this table. He opened up his eyes for the first time. Guess who he saw? He saw me. His little hands were so small and his nails were so soft that when he grabbed my hand for the first time, his nails curled up. But you know what I was thinking in that time? I was thinking I got to work harder to make sure that we have a dynasty. I was thinking that this is a part of the Brown dynasty. And whatever I've got to do to pull out my greatness, whatever I got to do, failure is not an option. Success is the only choice. Whatever I have to do to make sure that one day Honor Phoenix Brown will be speaking here at Harvard University, then I'm willing to do that. Dwell in gratitude. And when you're grateful, you really, really start to recognize your greatness. Part of my dream was to put motivational principles in hip-hop form, because I believe that if you could turn on the radio and learn how to be a thug, you should be able to turn on the radio and learn how to be a thinker. And that was my dream. And fortunately, I've done that. I've recorded over 300 motivational songs. The reason why I tell you to write your 100-year plan in your head is because I've recorded over 300 songs and I haven't had to write any of them down. They're right here. I lived this. And in closing, I just want to share with you the first song, some of the lyrics that I first recorded. Is that okay? But I need you all to do the chorus with me. So bring your energy up. And then say, when I say, I got a dream, you say, dream, okay? I got a dream. That's too slow, okay? We got it. This side got it. That's too slow. I got a dream. Something like Dr. King. Let's teach our children that money isn't everything. I got a dream. Something like Dr. King. Let's teach our children that money isn't everything. I got a dream. Something like Dr. King. Let's teach our children that money isn't everything. I got a dream. Something like Dr. King. Let's teach our children that money isn't everything. I got a dream. No, I didn't say a drink, but don't let the party stop just because a player thinks. I would never rock any diamond that was pink, but will you value my mind more than you value my mink? If not, then our value is guaranteed to shrink, and generations to come are guaranteed to sink. So what's the point of civil rights for the race if you get no rights, if your pockets don't have a big face? We don't want our kids in a paper chase. All leaders must die, but someone must take their place. I got a dream. Something like Dr. King. Let's teach our children that money isn't everything. I got a dream. Something like Dr. King. Let's teach our children that money isn't everything. I got a dream. That we stop being pathetic and value our future's character more than we do their credit. Because getting a Discover card ain't that hard, but discovering your true self can't be charged. Think large. There's much more to life than the money. What's the point of being out of debt if you are a dummy? So let's teach our youth to value their life, because the truth is, I think they got more value for ice. I got a dream. Thank you very much.